Continue with 9.3 on SWOT analysis. So 9.3 SWOT analysis. While we were discussing in the earlier class on pestle analysis, pestle analysis, all the factors, political, economical, social, all the factors were related to the external environment. Okay. But when we go for this analysis, SWOT analysis, we'll be discussing about the strength and weakness of our company. So internal to the organization, opportunities and threats external to the organization, and challenge. We have to face it as a challenge. Okay. If it is a weakness, you take it as a challenge, you turn the weakness to probably then maybe an opportunity outside. So usually we'll go in this criteria. Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. Strength and opportunity, which means there is an opportunity lying outside, that is outside the organization, in the environment, and it is your core strength, your core unique of the company. Then you will be following this criteria called as max criteria. Okay, so probably I can name this as one. Okay, this is one. If you if there is an opportunity lying outside, but that is not your strength, instead that's your weakness. In that case, I'll name this as two. Okay, what criteria will follow then? You will minimize your weakness, maximize the strength, that is opportunities. Then if there is no opportunity external to the organization, but this is the threat here. Okay. And you have the strength, probably, yes, you're in, probably we have done with this matrix formation, like you may be in the dominant position. Okay. And so in that case, it will be helpful. You'll be in a strong dominant position, like. So here, strength and threat. Strength you will maximize, threat you will minimize. The other way. Okay. So this is the fourth criteria. Yes, please minimize the weakness while minimizing the threats. So you're going to choose which criteria you're going to follow and how you're going to face it. This is what's called as a challenge. Okay, so SWAT C. Earlier it was SWAT. Like we were saying earlier, it was PEST. Then LE joint, environmental and legal joint, we call this a special analysis. Likewise, earlier it was SWOT alone. Then we add the C here. Okay. Actually, SWOT analysis will be done industry sector, which means for industry to industry, we may be doing the analysis, or we can go for our own company alone. So here we'll go. When we talk about the internal factors, it is in our control. When we talk about the external factors, it is out of control. Why we need to analyze the environment, internal and external? That is why we need to use SWOT analysis. Easily to find the opportunities and utilize the strengths. Okay. Role and importance of SWOT is if you summarize the key issue, what is happening, and it will give you as a bullet point. Okay, this is the criteria, this one I have to follow, etc. Also, it is useful as a basis against which strategic option will be helpful for. Okay. Aim is to identify the extent, how far, that is, you can please make note of the four criteria here. If you haven't taken a note of it, you can please make a note at least over here, the four criteria. So I can write it like this. Strength and opportunity, it is max criteria. So this is first one, second, third, and fourth. Could you please? Is it okay? So strength and threats, then weakness and opportunities, weakness and threats. Is it okay? So this will be max. So obviously you try to maximize your strength and minimize the threats. The other way, the third one, you will minimize the weakness and maximize the threats. And the fourth one, minimize and minimize, win-win criteria. So the strategic, so that's why we call this as strategic options. So which option will be suitable? Depending on the SWOT analysis. Actually, even though we have tested and SWOT, first analysis will be done as SWOT analysis only. Okay. For every company, there will be SWOT analysis. But equally, pestle analysis can be done. Probably, if you ask me for which case we can do for pestle analysis, if you're not going to do SWOT analysis, means if I'm new to the business, I'm totally new to the business, and how I know my core strength is this one, or I'm weaker in this one, so I may not be knowing. So in that sense, I may be going for pestle, but every company will go for SWOT analysis. Okay, so how do they perform? We just try to understand what are the internal and external. Actually, this is a very easy topic. Okay. So what is the main purpose? You identify the strategy, which means you're going to exploit the opportunities, or you're counter the threats, which means you're going to minimize the threats, or are going to build on and protect the company's threats, or you're going to eradicate the. Is it okay? So effective organizational strategy will be you will achieve the predetermined objectives. So we have aligned with vision, goals and objectives. So we have to achieve the predetermined objectives. You capitalize the opportunities using the use of strength and neutralize the threats by minimizing the impact of weakness. So what is the step involved here is we set the objectives because ultimately we are going to obtain the predetermined objectives. So you first set up the objectives of your organization. Sometimes SWOT analysis will be done for a particular unit alone, maybe. Okay, so for that particular unit, you just set up the objectives. Then you identify what's the strength, what is the weakness, what is the opportunities, what are the threats. Sometimes what we do is we don't identify for our organization alone. We identify the competitor's strength and weakness. So if the competitor is having a weak one, that may be a core for me. Then I'll be sustaining the competition. So you'll identify that is you do the SWOT analysis for your competitor also, like Toyota and Ford. So Toyota was doing analysis on Ford's engine. So it was not taking any instant move. Like it was waiting for some 2 years. It was understanding what was the Ford's weakness. Then it made that as its strength. So instead of giving 1 kilometer mileage for the car, mileage is not talking with respect to 1 liter of petrol. I'm talking about the whole engine's capacity. So if you go for 1 kilometer, sorry, 1 lakh kilometer, sorry, 1 lakh kilometer, that's for four engines power. If you go for Toyota's power, it will go cash for 5 lakh kilometer. Okay. So Toyota was redefining its engine systems, engine capacity depending on the Ford's capacity. So Ford's weakness becomes Toyota's strength. Okay. So I just want to highlight the second point. So identifying the strength and weakness is not about your company alone, but also the other organization, which is the direct rival of your company. Okay. So you maximize the area where the organization has the strength and you minimize the weakness. Probably you may have the employee base, okay, which the other organization may not be having. I cannot use that employees base. So I may be thinking this is my strength, but after 2 or 3 years, if that strength is not with me, if that core is not with me, I'm going to sustain the income. So it's not possible, right? So I need to maximize. Even though that is my strength, I need to maximize. If it is a weakness, okay, we cannot do this, we cannot take this project. Don't lose your mind. You have to minimize the weakness. That's why we study the environment, we fix the objectives. And you capitalize the opportunities, you protect the organization. At the same time, we recommend strategies that will be competitive. Okay, ultimately, we are going to go to the next level. We are going to expand. We are going to go to the next level. So we try to be competitive in this. Usually, what we do is when we go for SWOT analysis, we go for this four-cell matrix. It's just a template form. Okay, let me go for that. Then I'll come back here, the contents and all. Okay, can you find that page where you find a table or something like that? Yeah, this will be helpful. This is done in the industry sector. That is for steel industry. Obviously, this will be helpful for Mahindra and Mahindra. So steel is a core business for them. If you go for the strength of this industry, see, this is an illustration, okay? This is not the direct point, this is an illustration. After finishing the illustration, let me go for the next table. So, if you go for the core strengths of the steel industry, what is the raw material we use? Iron ore. Yes, that's available. No issues. And other minerals for steel is also available, so not a big problem. Skilled manpower and low unit cost, mature production base is all is there. So, it's all the strength for Indian steel industry. Okay. But the weakness may be high cost of capital, low labor productivity, high cost of basic input, high social cost, poor quality of basic infrastructure, and IT leverage. These are all maybe the weakness. See, this is for steel industries, not in general. This was steel industry. If you go for opportunity, we demand for infrastructure, Okay, see nowadays civil structures and all is like old model. Like all the side four wall brick walls and all is becoming old model. All like if the structure is retained for 5 years, if the quality that is if the life for that is for 5 years, we maintain with that. Okay, next 5 years we just demolish and go for the next one. It's all changing. Rapid urbanization, untapped rural demand. Okay, so per capita consumption, consolidation, low export penetration, growing domestic demand. These are the opportunities. So we can tap the opportunities with the strengths we have. Okay. Likewise, we can go for threats. Emergence of China as global exporter of steel. Threat of substitutes like instead of this, we are using aluminium and plastics equally. Okay, so probably if you go for this window structures and other doors and all, we have equally wood. And nowadays, if you build a house, immediately for the main door they say go for teak wood. வேற கதவுக்கு என்ன வேணா போடுங்க மெயின் டோருக்கு teak wood. So this is like a brand. Okay, nowadays it's been changed. You go for steel, go for aluminum doors. Even though you take any hammer and you hit it, it's not broken. And along with the biometric systems, see tech, IT leverage. Okay. And if you're not introducing all those systems in your product, then you may not be sustained. Okay. So, threat of substitutes is obviously there. Aluminum, not only for steel industry, almost for the industry, they have the substitutes. Technological obsolescence, so it's getting outdated. Industrial growth may not be taking up so speed like so. There may be a slow growth. Price sensitivity and volatility may be there, and dumping of high grade, low cost steel by developed countries. So that's also there. So these are not the tricks. Okay. So let me come for the next table. This is a general part as well. So you can just take this for noted. Depending on these points, see, just don't try to memorize them, but depending on these points, you can just guess what will be the illustrated one. Okay. The strength should be good. Okay. The weakness should not be poor. Okay. Whereas if you go for the opportunities, you utilize the opportunities, you can please make a note of it, and you eradicate the threats. So definitely each and every organization will find any threat outside the environment. Okay. You have to understand, right? You have to utilize that in a proper way. Okay. If that is your weakness, then don't touch the whole thing. If that is going to be a strength in future, please utilize that one. Okay. It's not only opportunities are converted to strength. Already you are in strengthened position. If there is an opportunity, you tap the opportunity. You utilize the opportunity. But if there is a threat, you please, with your core strength, what do? You eradicate your. Okay. If this is the point of view where you are having as a strength, if you are having as a weakness, opportunity is available, but you are weak. Definitely, you may be in a situation where you cannot utilize the opportunity. Okay. So what you can do with here is you can learn and probably next time if you get the same opportunity, you can grab it. Likewise, threats is there and it's your weakness. Please don't touch it all. It's not at all safe because it's win-win. Like so, you have to minimize the threats and you have to minimize the weight. See, nowadays we have this problem. Like now, you come for these points. When you go for the internal, these are just a list. Like okay, finance, definitely I cannot expect the other. It's my own thing. I can go for equity capital or debt capital, depends on you. Raw material availability, please check on that. Okay, how far you can manage with that. Labor availability has to be checked. Product and product mix, size of capacity, capacity utilization, how far you're okay with the tech. Okay, infrastructure, managerial strength, and industrial relation. Just have a list of these points you can manage. Okay. Well, if you go for the external, first one is demand. Check whether seasonal. If it's seasonal, it's an opportunity, you can grab that opportunity. See, uh, this Tamil month, Adi, we have this Adi discount. Do you know who brought this term called as Adi discount? Actually, if you refer to your parents or your grandparents, they'll say that Adi, they will not buy new dress. They will not go for any shopping. Okay. Probably they will not do anything new. Okay. Even if you're planning for a wedding or something like that, all things will be taken over before the Adi starts and it will be going. Okay. RD month is such a way defined that no good things has to be started. Okay. So this textile business, they need to introduce this discount because in this month, if nobody is purchasing, it's 31 days business, right? So they need to bring this RD discount. So Pothys was the first textile showroom to bring this RD discount. Okay. After that, everybody started. Even Flipkart also started. Okay, Flipkart, but they don't have this term RE. Okay, but they have some other term. Okay, instead of RE, they have festive days, grand days, grand festive days. They have like this. Okay. So we have both these, we have Chennai, is everybody, and even Purvika, they say RE discount, and especially 15th August and 26th of Jan will be especially meant for discount on Purvika mobiles. Okay, see, there's all tactics. It's seasonal, but I need to expand. I need to go for my business. So what I do, I just start that. Okay. But whereas if there's no demand at all, then please don't take a step there. You just leave it. Okay. Second, globalization. Yes, exporting is an opportunity, but at the same time, there will be an import. Mahindra will be facing this Tesla's launch. Okay. And third one, economy. You know, please check whether it's a developed economy or developing economy or it's just slowing down. Okay. And fourth one, industrial relation may be good. Sometimes it is an unrest. If there's a war situation, it's an unrest. Okay. Then fifth one, check whether there is any new market. Yes, we have a market. We can expand our market, rural or global wise. Even though you expect there is a competition, again you can go for Toyota and Ford. Okay, and sixth one, government incentive is there. It may be available sometimes, or sometimes it goes for penalty like okay, and finance is available sometimes available but still costly. That cost of capital may be very high, so that also matters. Apart from this, diversification may be one point added. So 8, 9, 10. Merger and acquisition is an opportunity, liberalization. Whereas if you go for the other side, eighth one, price war, political unrest, and quality risk. If you have a quick glance on all these 10 points on opportunities and risks, it looks somewhat like investing analysis. Because they're nothing but external to the organization. Okay. If you go for this weakness and strength, it's directly associated to my company. So all these terms will be associated with your costing and OM. Okay. So that's about strength and weakness. Yeah. Let me finish off the content. It's actually a very small topic. So let me start from here. It's given in a template form. Each cell will represent the strength, weakness, opportunities, and risks. So a group of managers probably who does this, a group of managers will be working together in the workshop session and they'll be planning for this. And they'll be using this brainstorming technique and all which can be done and which cannot be. So benefits, it's simple to use, actually very simple to use. Even you can have your strength weakness personally for your individual. Okay. Or like for one small organization, for one small business, everything you can. If you have any of your relatives doing business, go and sit with them, talk for an hour. They will think like you're so genius. Okay, because if you understand the terms, these are the terms associated with the business life. Even though their business is their life, right? Those terms are associated. So simple to use and flexible, low cost, adapts to varying situations, leads to clarification of issues. Yes, obviously, when if I go for analyzing all this, I may be facing some issues, and that will be obviously clarified. Okay, you're not going to hold that same position, right? And develops a goal-oriented alternatives, obviously, and serves as a starting point and helps to focus discussion on future choices. Okay, all these are the benefits. Dangers or limitation, definitely you have to understand it's difficult in segmentation. Sometimes what it happens is we cannot clearly say whether this is an opportunity or threat. Okay, depending on the factors, depending on the finance. Okay, you may be seeing this as opportunity, but if you go for the finance, see when we feel like the technology has become absolute, we have to go for the new technology. We have to invest in a better way. Okay, so if finance is a problem, then it's going to be a threat for me. It's not going to be an opportunity. Okay, you cannot say it's clearly an opportunity or clearly a threat. You cannot, at some point of time, you will get confused with whether this is my strength or this is my weakness. Okay, you may be facing the, probably you may be having the set of employees, but after 2 years, this opportunity may be available, may not be available. But after 2 years, if you're not going to have the employee base, then what's going to happen? Okay, this is not going to be your strength. This is going to be a weakness. So you have to be very clear. So it's not so very easy to go for a four cell matrix. Okay, not clear in identifying which is important and which is less. Yes, you cannot give the priority. Probably you can highlight as a single word. You cannot give priority. Which one is first one and which one is next and in the hierarchy again. And it's not a substitute. Okay, probably if you talk about the core competence, yes, you're talking about the organization core competence. Critical success factors or critical result areas, key result areas. What is the strategy gap? What is the value chain? Everything has to be considered. We cannot say instead of this, I do that one. No. If this is important, this is also equally important. This is also important. Everything is important for an organization. So you cannot say I'm just going to focus on this subject and leave off the other. No, you cannot do that. Okay. And most complex in application, actually, it's easy to analyze. Okay, theoretically it's easy, but practically if you go for applying or implementing, it's not so very easy. Okay. So trivially, the reality may be more complex in understanding also results in just compiling the list. So most of the cases, what happens is SWOT analysis is nothing but just go for four steps, write all the strength, weakness of this over. Okay, the problems are implementing it. So most of the companies, what they do is they just compile everything because if it is if all are strength, it's fine. If there are 10 weaknesses, which one are you going to focus? Okay, so most of the things, even though only about 10 weaknesses, there is three weaknesses in your company. Which weakness you're going to focus? Everything is weakness only. Okay, if there's an opportunity lying outside, and if that weakness is not corrected, that's going to be still the weakness only. Which means what? That's going to be still in the list only. You're not going to do anything further. So it just results in compiling the list. Okay, and risk interpretation. So probably might be not knowing which course of action you have to decide. Okay, depending on the new possibilities or new opportunities. So you have to miss it. You have to means what you are led to misinterpret. Okay, because in different person's point of view, it will be totally different. Okay, and yes, it will lead to confusion. As I was saying, we have to identify it's a strength with weakness or strength with opportunities or weakness with risks. So you need to identify. Obviously, it will encourage the organization to take a lazy course of action because sometimes you'll not have a match. This is what you call a strategic match. Can you please make a note of it? I don't know how we don't. I don't think so. You have this word. We call this a strategic matching, which means what are the strength is available. That could be an opportunity because I have the strength. But is this an opportunity here now? Okay. I have the way of producing probably if I am in the garments business. Okay. If I am producing any new material or new cloth, like, okay, how far this will be invited in the public, invited in the market. So recently I just went for a field visit in the textile industry. Actually, it's a family business of this. They are introducing this material where even though if see we find leave of the homemaids and housewife is cooking at home, leave of them. There are many businesses where they have to sometimes they have to give their life. Okay, who work for the public, who work for the who work who for 10 to 15 people, sometimes 50 to 100 people. So they need to wear a dress. Okay, normal sari only, but the material should be of such a way they should not get fired. Okay, like we have like water resistant, right? The same like fire resistant. So we need to. So they were discussing this in a meeting. So they were saying we are introducing this material called as fire resistant, which means you cannot totally avoid fire, but if it catches fire, it will not spread over immediately. Okay, if it catches fire in your dress, it will spread over. But this dress is fire resistant where it will not immediately catch over all your dress. So you can take some seconds time where you can remove a dress so that you will be protected. Your body will be protected. But the problem is how many will buy this one? Because the cost is going very high. See, they have this strength, but what about the opportunity? If this will be invited as a new market, as a new product, I don't know how far it will be done. So they're just doing it, but again, it's a problem only there. So it actually gives a lazy course of action. We don't know how far it will be matching. So that's about the strategic match. Okay. Then yes, instead of tea, they spiked out and they say this as a take it as challenge. Why are you taking it as a test? Each and every organization is not going to face a trend. They're converting this as challenge. So sometimes instead of swag see, they cut this and see and say as swags. Okay. So threats are seen as challenges. Regulations are lightened. It's a threat. But not only it's a threat for me, for everybody, it's a threat, right? Then why you see it's a threat? You take it as a challenge. You perfectly do everything. Okay. Changes in consumer demand is definitely you're making all the products only for the customers' needs. Newer products make it innovative, so you spend more on R&D and changing competitive landscape. It's all the same. Okay. And sometimes it goes in useless plan also. For example, I just leave it to you. It's related to a mobile phone application and importance. Okay. I think this is done. Can you please go to 9.4 on portfolio analysis and BCG matrix. Western and okay, before that, I would like to go for Mahindra and Mahindra SWOT analysis. Okay, just we have a small glance on this. Okay, can you find the highlighted one here? Mahindra and Mahindra also faces challenges such as intense competition. Tesla now. Okay, so Mahindra, Anand Mahindra words was will be facing a new competition now. Okay, so that was the Mahindra one. I was actually sharing that link, I think. Okay. Reliance on specific segments and global market limitations. See the strength. Just have a rough reading, okay? Market leadership, yes. Probably he's holding a strong position in utility vehicles, defense, tractors, all the agri-related equipments and all, okay? Brand strength. See, when we say Mahindra, yes, it's completely a Indian brand, okay? Focus on rural markets is obviously and strong R&D, going innovative, especially e-vehicles and all. After sales service is also good with lower cost and readily available spare parts. So this is the strength. See, the one we were discussing from the SSA material was with respect to steel industry, right? Yeah, steel industry. And another one, gender balance. Apart from that, anything you can fit. Okay, so if we just go for some two or three cases, we can fit everything. See, after sales service was not over there, but we are just listing over here. Okay. But the weakness is limited global presence. In India, it's fine. But globally, if you talk about Mahindra, no, it's not. It is having its presence, but limited. Okay. Dependence on specific segments. So, so probably Tar and others, Copy and all is now they are entering in this industry now only. Okay. So, if you talk about this seven-seater and all SUVs, immediately will go off Toyota. And so obviously they are taking over the customer space, but still it's second like okay. And quality concern. So I faced some quality control issue in the past impacting brand. So probably can have a look on this. What was the earlier one? Because that is an image failure for them. Then if you go for opportunity, yes, e-vehicle markets. So they want to reduce all these and global expansion. Yes, that's an opportunity. Mahindra and Mahindra is having a lower global presence, so it is an opportunity for them. They can tap the global market. Sustainable practices is reducing carbon emission, making zero neutral, carbon neutral. Synergies from acquisition. So probably it's acquiring other product and probably that's helpful. Threats, intense competition, economic slowdown, government policies, fluctuating input costs. That's all the weakness. You just have a look. Should I take over? See, not just have a look and leave it off. We can take for exam point of view also. You can write all these stories. Okay, SO is a beautiful subject. If you just understand in a better way and if you present in a better way, it's going to be very, very beautiful. Only thing you have to feel the topic. That's why I have taken my head down. Okay. So portfolio analysis and BCG matrix. Portfolio analysis means we'll consider some two-dimensional or three-dimensional angle and we'll discuss. Okay. Portfolio means it's not single. It's like a listed by listed. Okay. So it's an analytical tool which views a corporation as a basket of portfolio of products or business units to be managed. So what happens is we put the corporate headquarters into role of an internal banker and the top management views its product line and how the business units are to be done so that we expect a profitability. See, this is the role of the shareholder, right? See, whatever business you do, please give me some return on this. This is like what I expect. So it's a study on McKinsey and company. I request you to do so. Okay, I'm not going line by line. So I'll go directly over here. So popular portfolio techniques, we're going to discuss two over here. One is BCG growth and share matrix, and another one is General Electric business screen. Okay, these two. Uh, these are actually developed by them. Boston Consultant Group is BCG and General Electric is GE. Actually, this technique or this dimension, growth and share dimension. So this was brought by them, but still most of the organization take this as an example and they did this forward. Okay. So first we'll go for, okay, let me go for BCG and I'll come back. Okay, go for BCG. I'm not going to discuss in detail. I'll just give a small hint. See, when we say BCG, it's developed by Boston Consulting Group. Growth will be one dimension, share will be another dimension. See, that's why it's called this as portfolio. Portfolio, or you call this as sell by sell analysis. See, market share will be taken and growth rate will be taken. It's a two dimension. So it's two by two matrix. You'll get four cells, which means four situations will be there. See, one is star, cow, question mark, and dogs. So this is with respect to BCG. Whereas you just scroll down, can you go for G? We have to just turn three or four or five pages, I think. Oh, BCG, G is not there now. So this is what you call as the G matrix. The another word for this is traffic light matrix. Okay. Why you call this as traffic light matrix means because you get this green light, orange light, and orange or yellow. Okay, orange or yellow, and the other one is red light. Okay, you check where you fall in this nine cell. If you fall in green, then you are very active in your business. It is your core strength. You can go for developing, or you can just go for expansion of your business and all. If it is orange or yellow, please take care. If it is red, means flop. Okay, it's better you come out of business. Okay. So this is about how far you are there in the industry, strong, medium, or low. Likewise, I think this will be for industry's position will be there. One is your organization position and one is industry's position. Industry growth is different and your growth is different. So high growth, medium growth, and low growth. Okay. So you protect the position. You are already in the strong position and this is in a very high place. So you protect your position. Here also you protect here also. Here you invest to build because you are in your medium state only. You have to go for the next level. So you have to invest to build more. Okay. So these three goes for green signals. If you go for diagonal wise, it's actually like think twice or be very cautious. So you protect it. Not only that, because you are in a strong position, you have to protect your position. But the market growth is low, so you have to focus on how far you can deviate. Because when I go for defining the strategy, I have to think whether I go for expansion strategy or diversification strategy or whatever it is. Okay. So here selectivity or manage for earnings because it's medium and medium. Okay, industry is also in medium growth and yourself is also in the medium growth. Whereas if you go for low, it means build selectively. Okay, because there is a high growth for the industry, but you are in a low position. So you can manage. Okay, when you go for this one, okay, it's completely you have to see expand or harvest. Harvesting, you have to go for more investment. You have to sustain in the business. Okay, here is completely diverse because both low and low position and low industry. And here you can manage for the earnings if you are in the medium niche. So let me start from here. I think we have to go from this page, right? Yeah. So actually we have this two BCG matrix and another one is GE matrix. Okay. So GE matrix is what you call as the stoplight matrix, traffic light or stoplight matrix. Okay. We just have some wordings on that. In case if you are asked to write about portfolio analysis, you might be knowing something about BCG because we have that in the syllabus. But instead, GE matrix, you can add some few lines. So objective, you just analyze the current mix of business and take investment decisions. You develop strategies accordingly, whether you're going to add new business in the portfolio or whatever it is. And you decide the business, which one has to be retained and which one has to be excluded. How LG did mobile phones. It excluded from its portfolio. Okay. Advantages, obviously, it is encouraging top management. It's actually evaluating which business separately, okay, individually, and it stimulates the use of externally oriented data, raises the issue of cash flow availability, and graphical depiction will be helpful for communication. Limitations obviously there. You have to properly define your product and market segment. It's not sometimes very easy. Sometimes there may be some standard strategies where you have to miss the opportunities or you have to, because sometimes you cannot practically do it. Okay, so that's the one problem. Sometimes it will be creating an illusion like something that happens. Probably, if I'm talking about this Toyota's monthly demand, it may be creating an illusion. You might not be knowing this is going to happen in the future also. Sometimes it may be happening. Okay. See, I'm going to buy a car. Today I buy a car. Tomorrow I'm going to buy a car. Okay. So tell me, with your knowledge, okay, from your school days or childhood days, So you may be thinking, I was a child man now. From your childhood days, how many TV you have bought for your home? TV, fridge, washing machine. How many you have bought? One, two, three. Okay, you're going to buy this one daily. So this happens with automobiles also. If one team buys a car, the other team will buy the car, maybe of different model. I cannot expect the same team. Probably, if you're having 5 or 10 cars, that's different. Okay, if we talk about the normal public holder, usually normal people they change car only for 5 years, only for once in 5 years. If I'm going to have an add-on for that is different. But I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to use it means for the next 5 years I'm not going to replace this car. I may be buying another car. I'm talking about the replacement of this car. I'll not replace it. Probably I'll have it for some 3 or 5 years. Solid for 5 years we'll have it. So in that case, it's going to create an illusion like sometimes. Okay, so depending on the subjectivity. Okay, yes, value addition will be there. Always may not be clear how much the industry will be attractive, what will be the product of the life cycle, and what portfolio model will be using it. Sometimes we may be thinking of defining a or adding to the portfolio. Sometimes we will not get the profit. So introduction of profit also will be there. Okay. So BCG, we started with BCG. So let me come again from the beginning for BCG. So we have a two-dimensional figure here, two-dimensional matrix. One is with respect to what is the growth rate of the market, and another one is with respect to the market share. So when we talk about the growth rate, it can be high or it can be low. Likewise, market share, my market share will be high or market share may be low. If both are high, high plus high, then you are a star in your business. Okay. If the market growth is high, but you are low, then it's going to be a question mark. You have to think and think and think. Shall I do this one? Think. Shall I leave this one? Think. So everything comes along with a question mark. Okay. Which means you have to be very cautious. If it is a cash cow means it's low plus high. Market growth is low, but you are a star, like you are making good share with that market means definitely the market will not go down on a sudden. It will not be declining all on a sudden. So it's going to be a cash cow business. So the name itself is cash cow. So it will be generating cash. Stars may not be generating cash. Stars means you are the star. You have to show all the discount. You have to do so many things for advertisement. You have to sustain in the business. There will be a big tension for stars. But if it is cash cow, you don't do anything. Pana vandu kottum. That's what cash cow is. Okay, you don't give a single advertisement also. Everybody will follow your product, will follow your brand only. It becomes it's because of something you created, being a star is now helpful. So it's not like separate, separate. It's because of one some linkage only. And dog, ಹುಡುಗಿಗೂ ಇರ್ಕೊಳು ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಂಡಿದೆ ಮಾட்டாங்க. Okay. So this is both low and low. See, market share is low, and because when you talk about some business where there is a brand and there is a non-brand, okay, which one you will go? Definitely, will go for branded only. Okay, we don't want to take a second chance. So you're low in the market, and market growth is also low. Obviously, you have to bark to sell your business. Okay, so this happens. So let me go in detail. So classification of product step is very, very, very important part. Even though the forthcoming pages is, I'm going to discuss all these only in the forthcoming pages. Please try to understand the step. You put it in your own words. Okay. Please see the product classification can be star, cow, cash cow, question marks, dog. Let me start with star. What is the market share? High. Market growth? High. Capital expenditure. Please highlight this column. Cash outflow will be more than cash inflow. You will not be expecting cash inflow, but you have to spend and spend and spend to be a star. Okay. Future returns definitely will be high. What is the future return? Being a cash cow. Now you are a star, but at one point of time you are going to be a cash cow. So cash cow will be a next level. At that time you will be generating cashes. So that's why it is cash flow is greater than outflow is greater than income. Now if you are in a cash cow position, definitely this is high and this is low. So this will take it from the sell. And cash flow will be lesser, where cash inflow will be more. Because already you have given the base while you are a star. Okay. And you have to feed the stars. Because of this product only, you are feeding the stars. So next level, you have to bark and you have to show I'm there. Please respond to me also. Okay, you have to bark and then. So actually, this is the next level. So this is both low. Capital expenditure will be modest. Sometimes it will be we have to spend. Sometimes you will be gaining. It depends on cash traps. future returns. You cannot say exactly we are going to get money, okay? And this will be the end. In between, you may face a situation. See, it goes like this: stars, cash cows, and dogs. Sometimes in between, this may be the position where your share may be low, but market growth may be high. So in this case, you may be expecting the same like star, but what is the future return? See, if you go for 1 and 3, stars and question mark, it looks somewhat like same. Only difference is, let me clean the board and come again. See, just focus these two and okay, focus on star and focus on question mark. See, market growth is high. Okay, cash capital expenditure follows this relationship. But what happens is your market share is low here. See, if you are in question mark position, your market share is low here. So what about the future returns? No idea. But if your market share is high, then obviously your future return will be high. Then your next level you'll be generating a lot and lot of cash. But still not an issue. Even though you're in question mark position, you may be becoming a star or a dog. A beautiful table. Okay. So remaining rest of the thing, you can just have a fast class. So what are the two variables? Attractiveness, BCG's matrix, high growth demands, high investment, expand capacity or develop brands. Okay, just have a fast class so that you can manage this one. You have to balance in the portfolio. That is what type of growth and what type of investment you may need it. So if you are having a surplus, whether you can utilize for that business. So we have star question mark is what he calls the problem child initially. We don't know. எப்படி மேய்க்கிறதுனே தெரியலையே. Okay, this is the situation of the organization. இந்த ப்ராடக்ட் வித்துடலாமா வச்சுக்கலாமா இல்லை யாருமே கொடுத்துடலாமா. This will quick go because you cannot spend at one point of time. You cannot spend more. Definitely, there will be a question raised with the shareholders. Sometimes by the regulator authority also. Cash cow, you can just have a look on this one also. And dogs. Okay, can you please go to so advantages? If you are doing different businesses, then this will be helpful. If you are doing one single product, this is not going to be helpful. Okay, because if you have like some 10 products, okay, one product will be a star, one product will be a cash cow. Okay, I'm not going to define all the four. If product A is a cash cow, then this will be fetching the stars. Okay. If product B is a star, then it will be fetching product C because you have 10 products, right? So if you are in the diverse business, this will be helpful. If you are in single business or your portfolio is very small, then it will not be helpful. So sometimes you have to go for different needs and depending on your potentials, you have to manage. And you have to go for a desirable portfolio. Okay, probably which one will be better for me? That is the fourth cell, right? Which one will be better for me? Okay. And it will remind you the status. So you are a star or you are a dog or whatever it is. And you'll have a discipline. Yeah, beautiful point. You have a discipline to look, allocate the resources. So probably for which one you will allocate the resource, either for the cash cow or star, right? So if it is a dog, then you might be thinking whether I have to invest more on the dog. No, that business is going to be like a secondary priority only for me. So most of the cases I'll go for star because cash flow is also always generating money. That's a status. So in most of the cases we'll go for star because that's going to be a future business. Okay, so cash flow should not quote their profits. Okay, which means they will not talk about the profits. They invest more in the business. Even though we'll talk about the potential problems, definition, vagueness. If you say high and low growth, okay, in some particular situations it's okay. But what do you mean by high share? Okay, you see, what our law is there is we cannot have a monopoly status. Okay, if we talk about monopoly, means government is regulating this monopoly status, so you cannot talk about high share. Okay, so if you mean this high share, what do you mean by high share? First thing. And second one, you're talking, see, we are not in a globalized environment. You're talking in Indian environment because you're not considering international market needs. How can you say high share? Okay, this is again a problem. Okay, so so there is no particular definition for this. See, this is the matrix developed by Boston Consultant Group. For them, it is okay. For us, it may not be suitable. That's about the limitations. Okay. Capital market assumptions is probably have to, sometimes it may go for false assumptions. So, what are the internal sources will be available. So it depends on how it is raised in external markets. So everything may be like a not real one like. So you might be making some assumptions and you may be going on. And you have to also check whether how fast is relevant because uh, again we were saying that Boston Consulting Group may not be suitable for Indian market. So that will not be helpful. And unkind to animals. Okay, sometimes cash cow means will give us super treatment. Sometimes dog means continue wanting wrong. So it's not kind. Okay, so that's a theme behind here. Consequences leads to motivation problem. Okay, yeah, this point is a very beautiful point. So I just want to use BCG matrix for my organization. I draw this matrix. Okay, I find I'm over here as a top position. Okay, it is actually demotivating if I find I'm a star or I'm this position. So I think, okay, I'm a star and I'm in a cash position because there is a definitional vagueness. This cell may not be clear for me, but I feel like I have hit it over here. I'm a star. Probably I'm not considering the international market. Then how can I say you are a star? The same thing you can discuss with Mahindra and Mahindra also. Mahindra and Mahindra is having a less global presence, and you say you're a star. You're a star only in the Indian market. So that's against the problem. And when you say dog, you might be demotivated. So okay, that's all about my business. I have to leave my business. So why I need to extend this product? Okay, so I may be having a different sense here. So actually, this is not giving a motivated case. Like okay, either it's motivating or it's not giving a misunderstanding. Like okay. Nature of shift, yes, cash flows will become dogs more even quickly than the model expects. It's sometimes not directly, it's taking a long time. Cash flows generates money, but how long? Okay, it may be quickly turning to dogs. Okay, you might be working as a star, you may be working for a long period to become a cash flow to generate money, but soon after it is generating money, it becomes a dog. So, which we did not expect at all in our life cycle. So, that's again a problem. Okay, so you can just go through. Limitation, in simpler terms, I have listed down. It analyzes products using only two variables. How can I say only two variables? There are so many things we have to define. You cannot say just it's a two-dimensional language. Okay, so that's a very big limitation. And market niche makes good profit, but sometimes has low market share, so that also may not be. So you might be having low market share, but you may be making good profit. So it's not a good angle to discuss here. Market growth and market share not necessarily have high profit. More or less the same point. Okay. Market leader by market share, you cannot say it's the right definition. So who do you call as market share? Means obviously if you have a market share, it's a market leader. But it's not always the same position. Okay. And dogs are left to die. Will not take any correction. Okay. You see, it's a dog. Why we need to spend money? Okay. Because it's a question mark. And again, if it leaves, there is a problem. No suggestion for declining markets except withdrawal. So what do? You go and withdraw, close it. It ignores production strategy. Yeah, beautiful point. So as a cost accountant, you might be applying it. It ignores production strategy. See, PCG pattern is not considering on production strategies. So it's not talking about the synergy effect on production. It's talking only about two things. What are those? Share and growth. It's not utilizing the see, so many synergies are there. So many effects are there. See why instead of using production strategy, we are using synergy because while we use the proper technology on production, it will be showing good market share and good market growth. It's not utilizing BCG. Okay. And it ignores the threat of substitute products. That again is a one-dimensional angle. It's beautifully deep actually. Okay, so product life cycle with BCG matrix. See, so far we were discussing when we say talk about product life cycle or business life cycle, we say it's an infant stage, growth stage, maturity stage, and declines. Okay, here we are mixing this product life cycle along with BCG matrix. BCG matrix deals with stars, cash cows, question marks, and dogs. So probably this, if you link with product life cycle, this is the growth stage and this is the maturity stage. Okay. But before the growth stage, we'll be having this infant stage, and after this, we'll be having the decline stage. And decline stage, again, you can define with two animals or two birds' name. One is war horses and dodos. Dodos means it's an extinct bird. Dodos was once there, not now. It's an extinct, like dinosaurs. Okay, extinct. It's not there. Okay, but we can refer the. We can search in the Google. We'll find the bird having a different structure. And all, okay, can please check that. So dodos. So low share, negative growth, negative cash flow. War horses again high share, negative growth, positive cash flow. Again, you may say, why war horses and loaders are put over here? Sometimes your business, we say that when you go for this line, it will not be touching actually. See, it will look like as if touching, sometimes it may not be touching. If it touches the horizontal line, it is a dodo, extinct. Again, if it is not touching, but it's very slow, like look as if it's going to touch, it's called as war horses. Which means you may be expecting a positive cash flow. It's a beautiful concept. Let me come again here. See this one. Here, you get positive cash flows, which means there is small income you may be raising because of that. Again, you know this Gopal toothpaste. Okay, I don't know how many use because it's there in the market but not available everywhere. But this product is still sold. Okay. Yeah, equal to Gopal toothpaste, we have this Nambudri tooth powders and all. I'm not talking toothpaste, tooth powders. So you can find it in a cylindrical box. Like most of them are using. Probably you might be reminded of the tooth powders only we have toothache. Okay. If you are using a toothpaste, means your tooth and all are good. Okay. If you're using powder, means most of the like if you go for Ayurveda and that type of medicine, they go for prescribing this one. High share will be there, but negative growth, no growth. But the product is still there. Okay, this is in the decline stage. Okay, when you go for infant, see negative cash flow because we have to introduce the product in the market. If you are not introducing the product in the market, then nobody will know. Okay, then we can talk about star and cash flows in there. Okay, right. Yeah, this is about 9.5. Yes, stages in strategic planning. Sometimes we call it as five stages, sometimes seven stages, sometimes three stages. Whatever it is, just see the question, write number of stages. Usually, we say it as formulation as one stage, then we say as implementation as another stage, and the last stage is evaluation and control. This is how we discuss in the first topic. Okay. We call this as three stages in strategic planning. But now here we are going to discuss as five stages. So if the question is asked as five stages, go with this angle. If the question is asked as three stages, go in this angle. Which means you're not going to leave off the first and last stage. You're going to combine first and second as and put it as formulation. Okay. So the first component you have to select the corporate mission and the major corporate goals. We'll be thinking about the four components part. First thing, when you talk about the mission, we'll say for what reason we have to be in existence. Okay. Also, when you talk about vision, what is our future? Where I will be in the future. The statement of some desired future state. Not only that, we have to give the statement of key values and you have to give the statement of major goals. These are the four components put together for vision. Even though we are talking about vision, we are talking about vision and key values and everything put it in the mission because vision is how we are going to reach to that place. Okay, that's the first component. Second component or second stage, you analyze the environment, external competitive environment, so that you can identify the opportunities and threats. So we are just following the SWOT analysis. Okay. So here, what you do is you go for analyzing the three interrelated environments. So what is the industry environment? So how we are operating there, and what is the country and national environment and socio-economic or macro economic. So we go like somewhat like PESTEL because we are talking about external, right? So we cannot exclusively talk about SWOT and ONT over there. So we have to talk about the PESTEL also. And third is you go for analyzing the internal operating environment, which means you're going to analyze or identify the organization's weak and strengths and weakness. So this is the third call. And actually, we introduce the fourth component and SWOT analysis put together over here, but this is not one is a separate stage. So it's all done between the cont and third stage. See, I'm not going to particularly go for second stage and identify the weakness and opportunity. I'm not going to particularly go for strength and weakness as third. It's going to happen everything together. So I'm not going to go in hierarchical order at all. After doing all these, now we go for what? Selecting the strategies. So which will be helpful. So here we have to decide whether it's min-max criteria or maximum criteria or whatever it is. Okay. And what are the role of managers? Because they are the persons who are going to select the strategies, right? So what is the role? So what they do is directly they are not going to select one strategy. They will go for defining the alternatives. So probably they will define as one, two, and three. Plan A, plan B, and plan C. Like. And among the three plans, among the three strategies, they'll check which one will be most suitable because they are going to execute the current environment. Even though they are going to plan about the future, they are going to execute the current atmosphere because the current analysis is about the current atmosphere. Okay, so they're going to execute it here now immediately. So probably let me have the second plan was the better one compared to the first and three. They'll not completely eliminate one and they'll just keep it in the hand. It is like a stock click. In case the second one is not working or the environment has changed, then what they'll do is they'll be utilizing first one or third one. They're not going to particularly eliminate. Probably sometimes it may not be working. So how you find out is we'll go for the evaluation and control, the third level. So we go and work over there. It's not under control. So what we do, either we go for shifting this one or that one. If second one is not working and you don't have this plan A and plan C with you, like that is the first and third strategy with you, obviously you might not be taking much time to define because it should not take time. So you can immediately go for proceeding, planning your plans. So that will happen. Okay. So you have to compare and contrast. Not only comparing in a positive angle, also you have to check why not this one and why that one. So if I'm suggesting, so we are the top managers, top level managers sitting and defining the strategy. So if I say that plan B will be suitable, you have to say that why not plan C is suitable. So that's why contrast. So we check all the alternative possible strategies against each other and then identify the set of strategies that is going to create and sustain a competitive advantage. And you keep in mind that the strategy selected should be consistent with the vision and so that's what we say, like alignment with vision, mission, goals, and objectives, and they should be congruent and constitute a viable business model. You should be capable. That's what resource mobilizations. Okay. And the fifth component, you go for implementing the strategies. So far I was doing this three-stage work. So first stage is formulation, second stage implementation, third is evaluation. So till here is stage one. But what they do here is component one, component two. They divide as they get like five stages. So you implement the strategy. So strategic implementation means actually you're taking the exact rules. This will be done at all the levels. Even though we say that this is the level who are defining or who was choosing their selecting the strategy, actually they have to communicate properly through the middle level managers so that it's properly communicated to the implementers because implementers are the actual job doers. They are executing. So the moves are actually done by third level, but it involves all the levels managers role. Okay. So probably like you have to put quality improvement programs, you have to change the way the product may be designed, you have to position the project differently in the marketplace. So you have to highlight the product's major role. And you have to segment the market. So like, which version will be suitable for which one. So I remember I was discussing on this Domino's. Did I discuss? Domino's piece, this sauce taste. Again, they brought a sauce. It should be like with spicy and we should match the Indian taste. Okay, but that was a total flop for them. Okay, so everybody, if you want to go outside and you want to have something interesting, so after getting the SM class gets over, I have to go home and take the Asam Saram, Pasaram, those it is so boring. I want to have biryani. Okay, and they say that biryani with no mutton, biryani with no chicken, and biryani with no raita is good for your health. What I do, I not go visit the shop. Okay, so the same thing happened with Domino's sauce. And so he thought this is thought entering into Indian market, we have to match with the Indian taste. No, we were not expecting it. We already have so many tastes here, and our nation is culture diversified. So each and every place we go, we'll have different types of biryani. Okay, and obviously we enjoy that biryani also. Whether it's not nice or not nice, we enjoy it. So if you go to Domino's Pizza, we will not think whether it's healthy or unhealthy. No, organic or no, we are going to have. Okay, it's one time that we are going to spoil, and we spoil it. Okay, that's it. This is happening. And also that may be one case where you're going to implement price increase or price decrease. Like you might be going for some mergers or acquisition. Sometimes you might be downsizing the company. So you might close down or selling off parts of the company like LG, like okay. You can just go through this one. what will be the role of senior manager? You can please make a note of it because whenever you go for implementation, we think that it's just the third level managers work. No, actually, the senior managers, the top level, also have the role to be played. So they'll check everything is good in place, governance system in place. If there is any consistency or if there is any atmospheric difference happening, the environment is changing, they have to utilize that one and they have to change it. So this all has to be taken care. That's what governance system is. So they have to check whether the thing what we have implemented, the strategy what we have implemented is maximizing profit and profitability and profit both, and but also it should be legal and ethical. Then you go for this feedback loop. So you take the feedback, you just check whether how far it's going, and you go for evaluating and control. Okay. So this is a never-ending process. This was asked once in the exam, but many times. Strategic planning is continuous and never-ending process. Discuss, which means you have to write all the points, okay? And please monitor. So how far the goals and the objectives are being achieved. It's not achieved means you are not properly working. Probably you might have properly formulated, but you're not properly implementing. That may be one case. Or you did not formulate it properly, even though you properly implement, then it's a waste of life. So you have to formulate properly and formulate that should be properly implemented also. Everything has to be done in a better way. But if it's not happening means then you're not going to achieve. If you're not achieving means okay, you're planning to have this at the end of this plan to be executed in 1 year period of time. And if you go after checking from 6 months or 7 months period after executing it, and if you find that something has gone wrong, then you're losing the 6 months or 7 months period. So which means they have to have a regular check. Regular checking is not like day-to-day check, probably like monthly or weekly. It depends on depending on the project and depending on your thing. Okay. Sometimes if you're talking about employees betterment. Okay. Training the employees is also a strategy because it's a main resource, it's an asset for the company. So you're so, what is the main resource for the company also. So you have to properly utilize mobilize the resource. So in that case, what happens is if you're not giving enough time for them, they will not show their development. So if you say that yesterday you did this and today you did this, how can they do it in one single day? So you have to give a lot of time for that development. If they're not developing, definitely you have to give proper training and you have to make them develop. Okay. And the degree of competitive advantage. So whether we are creating a unique core, so competitive advantage is that one, right? We have to build that core. What is the uniqueness in it? We have to build that. Okay. And return to corporate level. So corporate level is this top level, right? Corporate level, the top managers. So they will just check how far the feedback loop is working, what should be the input for the next round for the formulation of strategy and all. And you design the decision of the top managers to be actually the last confirmation. So it just goes on. Formulate, execute, evaluate. If needed, formulate, execute. It goes on and on and on. So that's what the call this loop feedback. So that's about 9.6 alternatives in strategic planning. It's nothing but different courses of action which will be available. Please remember, it's not available at different point of time, at a given point of time. See, alternative is I'm going to execute this one or that. So you have to be careful on this. Why we need to generate alternatives? So you cannot say one strategy which I'm developing will be the exact one. So how can you define whether it's appropriate? Means only after comparison you can define. But obviously it's costly. Defining one strategy itself is costly. Probably after defining and when you go for implementation, if it is not working, means definitely you're going to lose a cost. But instead of that will be a big cost. That loss will be a bigger one. So instead, what we do is from the beginning stage, we'll go for the alternatives also. So one thing when we go for comparison, we'll know which one is better and which one will be appropriate to my organization. So that's why what we do is we always go for the alternatives. And that is one reason, and another reason as I discussed, whether I'm choosing plan B will be good or plan C will be good. So maybe not at this time, maybe at a later time. So it's actually a challenge because many options will be available and they have to check whether this is my particular objective is matching with that. So accomplish my objectives. So on what factors you choose this one? So either what's the size of the business? It's a large size company or small size company? What's the style of management? What are the characteristics of the industry? So planning model goes with the highly structured and it will be orchestrated by the top management. Usually they do this. Even though we say that there is this approach is what we call as the top-down approach. The top managers say, the bottom level implement. Sometimes before going for implementation or before defining this is the strategy, we go for bottom top approach also, which means that after defining, not confirming, they go for a draft work. They will be sending this to the implementers. They are the actual team, field workers. Okay. So they will be given to the implementers and they will ask whether this is work out. Okay. And they will be giving the solutions. So it's why it's called as the bottom top approach. Okay. But anyway, they are the persons who are going to confirm it because they are the top level managers. Because in their implementers' point of view, it will be just whether they can implement it or not, whether they can put it to action or not. Only these things will be decided. But these are the top level managers. They have to decide whether we need extra investment. Okay, so as I was discussing this Toyota's case, so this the top management decided, okay, and it was went to the this lower team, which is the main HR team and the other team or production team. Actually, this was production team. So this went to the production department, and this production department was giving a suggestion, why don't they do this thing? So this was a strategy they gave. So strategy is not always expanding the business or what uh, investing more in the business, not in that way. Okay, sometimes it happens that we reduce the cost and we control the cost is also a strategy. And it's obviously a very good strategy because investment is always not going to be helpful because we have to show the return on investment. If you are not showing the return on investment, then there'll be a big question mark. Okay. So reasons for criticism. So why this is not good? Because the real world cannot predict, right? Less role will be played by lower level managers. We don't know how far they will be actively participating in strategic implementation. And successful strategies are often the results of serendipity. So obviously, you have to go for actualizing. So an alternative view of strategic making is we go for scenario planning path. If this is going in a very bad way, how are you going to manage? If this is going in a very good way, how are you going to manage it? The strategy will be defined, but the situation changes. Like we say, it is optimistic and pessimistic. If the situation is completely probably you'll be studying all this in your final level. Like what are the things you're studying here in the inter level that all will be put as one single paper and you'll be asking you to interpret it. So probably you may expect standard costing, marginal costing, all costing topics in one single topic. So this is how we interpret it. So what they do is they create different scenarios, pessimistic, optimistic. If my monthly demand goes this way, so the market demand is expected in a high way. So that's a projection of the demand. So how are you going to tackle this one? Or if there is a projection that you may be expecting less demand. So what is your expectation? So these are all under it's whatever scenario. So because the predictable future is not available, so you cannot exactly say, you cannot exactly focus, so you have to depend on the contingencies only. So what you see is if there is an unforced contingency occur, which means it's not being properly planned, then how we are going to deal with it. So what's happening all the time? Okay. Definition, what if scenarios. What if optimistic, what if pessimistic. So how it is done? All the team managers will work for the specific strategies. They work for each and every scenario. They work for all the different scenarios. They check and they check what is the trend available and which particular scenario is going to come in the future and they will work on all that. Okay. And the idea behind here is because it is complex and the dynamic environment we have and we have to think what are the problems will be there. We have to think this in a, not in a normal fashion, but in strategic fashion. Okay. And we just go for generating the strategy. So we call this as ivory tower approach. So that's what it calls what decentralized planning. Actually, you have something called as centralized planning, where if this is the top management, all the what all the departments and everybody will be handling in such a way that it is centralized. Okay. But sometimes what happens is it is decentralized, which means we want to go for ivory tower approach. Ivory tower is a tower-like approach. That's what we call as ivory tower approach. Okay. If there is a mistake happening, we cannot say, see, you have to, even because we also know, you go for this way, if something happens, we have to get reversal. Okay, so if you go only for top-down approach, what happens is top one says the lower level answers. No, it's not. It should not be that situation. It should be like top down and bottom top. Both the angle communication should be there so that if any mistake is there, that's getting correct. Okay. So it's the exclusive responsibility of top managers to formulate the strategy leads to do more harm than good. So that's the mistake happening. So strategic plans are most of the time are formulated in vacuum by top managers who have little understanding or appreciation of the correct operating realities. Please highlight. That's why we are correcting this ivory tower approach. Ivory tower approach means you can make a note here. Top down approach is what you call as ivory tower. Okay. So definitely you need a correction. So all the level managers will be playing the role. Okay, so they will play together. So when you talk about the business and function level, so we call this as top level or strategic level, okay, or management level. The second level we call it as middle level or business level. The third level is what you call as a bottom level or low level. Okay, bottom or low level, functional level. Actually, we have extra names for this operational level, tactic level. Okay. So bottom level is a general name because of it is in the bottom. We call this bottom level. Functional level because we have different functions, and the operational level and tactic. Tactical means operation. So we have four different names. So those managers are the field workers. They are closest to the facts. Okay. So they go with the best planning and what should be done, how could be done. So this is what we call as planning should be decentralized. So you just listen to their words also. So they are the workers who directly work with the customers. See, they means below them you have 50 workers. There will be hierarchy below them. Okay, but still they know better than these people. They know. Okay. So corporate level planners, actually they are the facilitators. They have to help the business and functional level managers to do the planning to set the strategic goals, and they have to identify which one strategy will be helpful to attain the goals. Okay. Next we'll go for strategic analysis and choice. Already we have done this one, right? This is 9.5 topic. To generate the feasible alternatives. What do you mean by feasible? Most suitable. Sometimes you have to face some losses, but it may be a loss today. Probably, if you are planning for a star product, it may be it may not be generating cash today, but tomorrow it's going to generate a lot of money. So you have to do something. That's what you call as feasible. Feasible is not always making profit. Okay, and not only for monetary terms, we have to look out for non-monetary terms also. And we have to evaluate the alternatives and choose the appropriate. So this is just the 9.5 top. Okay. We'll just look on to these cases. What happens in the case of small organization? Actually, when you go for small organization, the owner of the chief executive might be thinking this. Under the different alternative situation, what the organization should do. Okay. What new business should be added? What existing business should be divested? Which means what I'm not going to invest more in that. So I'm going to leave off that. Whether to integrate forward or backward other strategy. Probably so. We are doing this here, particularly in all the apps. So if we once we planned what business should be added, okay, we are giving coaching. Why don't we plan for 11th and 12th coaching? Okay, uh, why not from the school? School students want to join CA after their 10th standard, so we started giving coaching for them. Actually, we'll not allow them for classes because the maturity level will be totally different. We will not allow them for classes, but instead, what we do is we give our recorded sessions. Okay, we are handling classes in the school level, then we drop that because it's not matching our thing. Okay, so this we have thought. What an organization to do under alternative situation. Okay, so different alternative situations we have thought, and in most of the situations, we'll check whether this is working or not. But to check whether this is working or not, we have to wait for another 6 months and 1 year, which means one batch or two batches. So it's again a problem we have faced. So what we are going to do? What existing business to be divested? Currently, Singar Academy is not handling CS. Okay, if anybody, very known students or some two known persons, will give the recorded versions. The reason is only one person I'm here have to handle all the documents. So I'm getting overloaded, and so you may say that now this is business one, we have to take over. So if I think in this angle, am I getting enough results and enough admissions for this? No, it's a question. So let me diverse first period. Let me take it out. So we have done this. Whether to integrate forward or backward. Okay. Backward we cannot do. So that which means forward I cannot do. Backward is for as I was discussing. After 10th we can educate the students. Else regarding the single bookset publication. We are preparing our own materials and we are having our own publications. That's a backward integration. I'm not buying from others. But I can plan for others. So we'll go for medium and large organizations. Uh, what's the difference between small, medium, and large? Is small organization means probably in the next topic we'll go for the organization structure and all. In the small organization, owner, CEO, okay, sweeper, gate closer, everything will be single person. Okay. But when you go for medium level, there'll be one stage lower, which means there'll be an owner and there will not be a contact with direct employees. There'll be one person middle who will be calling as manager or any other position. If you go for large organization, you cannot see the MD at all in your lifetime. Sometimes it happens. Only in some office programs or something like that, very important meeting like that, only you can meet the MD. If you are lower level employee, then there will be no chance that you can meet them, you can speak with them. So the position changes, the level changes. So in this case, what happens is a brainstorming sessions for top management and key executives will be. Okay. So this will be done in stages and stages. So first stage, they'll go and participate. They'll just go for checking the number of alternatives. What is the merit? What is the demerit? Then in the second stage, each alternative will be closely scrutinized. Which one I can choose? Which one not to choose? See, stage one is they'll check the merits and demerits. Stage two is they go for contrasting. What do you mean contrasting? If this is done, what will be the consequences? If this is not done, what will be the consequences? So they have to analyze, they have to examine properly, and they have to go for the final selection. Sometimes most of the key executives, what they do is they leave the organization and go. But this is there. Okay, because I've done some audit, they show some expenses over there. What they do is they take a flight, go out of India, sit in some place for 10 or 15 days, they define a strategy and come back because they want to relax, they want to go out of box thinking. If they sit in the same room and they think, we'll be having a superbly luxury built boardroom and all. But they need to go out of that place. Then only they can relax with the mind and they can proceed. Okay. And special meeting of the top executives will be there. So this is what I was telling. They'll go for a holiday, resort, and other cases and all. Okay. So different alternatives, different scenarios will be developed, and different assumptions and future trends will be considered, and they'll go for further convenience. Okay. Outside concern, yeah. This is most of the cases. If it happens, like other than large, most of the cases happens in medium organizations where instead of having the own experts in my organization, I hire them because having own experts in your organization is not a easy job. It's a costly one. Okay, so what I do is I take the I'll go the outside consulting. So if you are a practicing cost accountant in the future, so your job will be this. So you have to analyze because actually there's a limitation also because you will not know completely about the organization. See, what are the things you hear through the social media? What are the things you come to know through the respective person who is communicating with you? With that point of view only, yes. But one advantage is because of this outside viewpoint, you'll know what are the plus and what are the minus. So if you're inside the organization, everybody will be praising you. We don't want that praising. We want how far this will be profitable. Again, non-monetary resource. Okay. So outside consultant, okay, then I'm not going line by line. Okay. Then sometimes we go with joint meetings. So some consultant and some internal members will be sitting and they will coming across the debate or talk will be going. So they'll be blending with new groups. We'll go for critical success factors. There's nothing but the features that are particularly valued by a customer, not one particular customer, because obviously you have to satisfy the customer's need. But what happens is you cannot satisfy each and every customer need. So we'll check the basic needs where every customer wants it. So those needs will be considered. So that's what is the product feature. So therefore, the organization must excel to outperform competition. Okay. So if one customer goes into the so four major success of this critical success factors is being defined by this person called as Rockhart. He talks about the structure of the industry because some factors will be specific to some particular industry only, not all. Okay. If we go for automobile, mainly what we check is for the service support. I buy the vehicle and come home. If I face any problem, how I'm going to deal with it? Okay. So what the company will do is it will go for building a national network of authorized service stations. So automatically that is so very important, right? You need to have the authorized service station. The second is competitive strategy and what is your industry position and also the geographical location. You may be thinking that you are a star in your market, probably in a very small market, but when you go for expanding the business, what happens? Okay, so example, when it goes for BPO, we need to have English speaking people. Okay, then third, environmental factors we have to check. Okay. Then fourth one, temporal factors. So in the case of short organizational developments, sudden loss of critical manpower. Yes, how are you going to handle it? Okay. Breakup with the family-owned business. You have to rebuild the company image. So if you go for Ambani family, if it is split as three or four, then it's going to be a problem. So if you go for Ambani's story, Dhirubhai Ambani just split the business. He gave one to Mukesh and one to Anil Ambani. So they started developing the business. One was successful, one was not. This was started by Mukesh Ambani. He is giving his business, developed a business to three kids. Not use the term kids, for him kids will run. Okay. Isha, Anand, and so he's developing the business. He's giving the full support as a mentor over the three business, and he's building the business, and he's going to give three different businesses to three different children. Okay, so it's like a temporary state. So probably some critical factors till the time they're achieved, you'll call this is critical factors on this, but sometimes it might be changing. Sometimes it might be more promising. So you have to check on all those. Okay. How it is done, you just check which are the relevant factors, how you're going to analyze and do it. Shall I continue? Now we'll go for strategic decision making. So everything is done, and depending what is your capability, go and choose it. Okay. Sometimes or most of the time, we may be following this rule called as thumb rule. Okay. We want to go for globalized business. Okay, go and expand it. So this becomes like a thumb rule. So sometimes it happens even though see Mahindra has a good stock. Okay, good image in not only in automobiles and steel industry and everything, but still it is not having global presence, lesser global presence. There should be a reason. Okay, he's not successful or he's successful in the global presence. No, that doesn't matter. But you need to check whether it's going to be a successful in future. Okay, so you have to check what maybe the errors arising because of this decision. Okay, cognitive biases. So biases. What type of error? Prior hypothesis error. You have a strong prior belief that the things what you're going to discuss will happen, will make it. But sometimes your beliefs may be wrong. Okay, it's a hypothesis only, no. It's not the proven one or something. It may be or may not be, like hypothesis only. Okay, hypothesis in the sense that for me, I may be having a different angle. For you, it may be a different angle, so it may not work out correctly. So variable definition mean and escalating commitment. So once if you go for decision making and all, you have to check whether you can provide the significant resource to that particular project evenly, consistently. Because already there is one committed project you're doing it and you're bringing a new project inside, how are you going to proceed that? So that has to be checked. Okay. So they go for receiving feedback and all. And reasoning by analogy. So analogy is something what you compare. Okay, so you face a problem, you check how that can be done. If you check that problem cannot be done, corrected, or cannot be proceeded further, you just leave it off. So you just give a comparison and you make the selection whether to select or leave it. Okay, and representativeness. Yes, you take a sample and you check whether it's working. Uh, Even though you plan for global environment, first let me instead of putting full efforts in the global environment, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to invest in a small country. Probably if you're going globalized from nationalized, if you're going globalized, you know where we go? We go to Sri Lanka because it's very next to India. Transport is easy, laws are easy. Else we go for Nepal. Nepal already is a friendly country with us. But we plan whether we need to go for China and Pakistan. So if we plan for China and Pakistan, instead of planning China and Pakistan, we can plan for UK, okay, or Australia. China and Pakistan are like, even though neighboring, we don't think as neighboring because always we have this enemy effect. Okay, so that will be the thing. Okay. So it sometimes we have to violate the large number statistical laws because when we talk about statistical law, we have to talk about large amount of data. If you take if your sample size is not good, it should not be too less. It should not be too high. That is too large. If it is too small, you will not get a good representative. If it is too large, if it is coming as a failure, then it totally goes away. So that's a bias. So it will not giving you a proper one. So it will go improper. An illusion of control. Yeah, beautiful point, Pam. You think that everything is under control. You check all the events, you check that everything is under control, and you become what? Overconfident. And obviously, this overconfidence leads to an hypothesis. Sometimes it may take over, sometimes it may put you down. That's a beautiful. Shall I take over? Techniques for improving decision making. Devil's advocacy. What I can do is I can clearly generate the plan. Okay. And I check what are the things happening or what are the things I should take care of the plan. I do everything in it. But what happens is we'll have a devil inside. Okay. What devil is? Usually in your family also you have this devil. Okay. Because you have a, in case if you want to go for an outing with your family, you all planned in one single way and one person will come. He'll totally put a flop. Okay. Either he will totally cancel the plan, and because of that, everybody will say, okay, we'll cancel the plan because we get frustrated or hesitate to discuss the outcomes. Else, what they'll do is we will have a plan. Probably you might be planning to go in a train journey. He'll be coming and he'll be saying, why waste of time? Go in a flight journey. Okay. You may be planning to go in a train journey where you can go for all the purchasing and put it and come. Okay. You can go for big shopping. Whereas you go for a flight journey, that's what baggage route comes. You cannot carry more than 25 kg like that's all over. Okay. Decision makers can become aware of the possible perils. So this is what is devil advocacy. Definitely when there is a team, we expect a devil in the team because the devil will give all the negative outcomes so that will be helpful. So perils are the dangers. Okay. Second is dialectic inquiry, which means it will be done as two plans. A plan, which is called as a thesis. If that's not working out, it's just an antithesis, which is the counter plan. Okay, so if this is not working out, well, if it is creating some conflicting actions, then we'll just go for the plan B. So plan A and plan B. Okay, so that's about dialectic inquiry. So nature, you can see. So they'll create a debate like why this is working, why this is not working, what are the assumptions of both the plan, how can you go for final plan this one, and we'll go completely third party view, outsider view. So he'll be identifying what are the strategic initiatives we can take and so on. Let me go for the fourth one, group thinking. We'll form a group, okay, and we go take a course of action. We'll take all the assumptions and we'll focus accordingly. So we'll do as a unity group, okay. We'll just form a group and everybody will work for that. So if something happens in a wrong way, everybody will be responsible. If it happens in a good way, everybody will take the credit. So this is how it goes. So group thinking. But the impact here is sometimes what happens is everybody is moving in the same way, means no devil there. So what happens? We may not be filtering out the information. Actually, might be ignoring sometimes. Sometimes group thinking is good because we have chosen the strategy and we want only the positive efforts. So in that case, it's okay. But sometimes if there is no devil, we might be missing all the negative points. So that's an impact also. And obviously, everybody are working towards one goal means everybody are committed to the vision, and they will not have any alternative thinking. They will be working for one single thing only. And sometimes the consequences can be poor decisions. That happens. So that's about chapter 9. That's it.